Welcome to Advanced Workplace English, Episode 1. Have you ever noticed that some people sound incredibly professional when they speak at work? They sound confident, polished, and respected. Interestingly, it's not because they use complicated vocabulary or difficult business jargon. The real secret is that they know how to communicate professionally. Professional communication is a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned and improved. In today's lesson, you'll learn practical workplace English expressions that can help you sound more professional in meetings, conversations with colleagues, discussions with managers, and interactions with clients. By the end of this lesson, you'll have several useful phrases that you can start using immediately in your workplace. Let's begin. Many English learners believe that professional English means using advanced vocabulary. However, that isn't necessarily true. Some of the most effective professionals use simple language. What makes them sound professional is how they communicate. Professional English is clear. It helps people understand your message quickly. Professional English is respectful. It shows consideration for colleagues, managers, and clients. Professional English is confident. It allows you to express your ideas clearly without being aggressive.
Finally, professional English is solution-focused. Rather than focusing on problems, professional communicators focus on solutions. Let's look at some examples. Imagine a colleague asks for your opinion. Instead of saying, "This won't work," a more professional response would be, "I see a few challenges with this approach. Perhaps we could consider another option?" Both responses communicate the same idea. However, one sounds much more professional.
I'd like to. This phrase is extremely useful because it sounds polite, respectful, and confident. Let's compare two examples. Example 1. I want to say something. Example 2. I'd like to share an idea. The second version sounds much more professional. You can use this phrase in many workplace situations. For example, I'd like to ask a question. I'd like to provide some feedback. I'd like to discuss a concern. Notice how this phrase allows you to express yourself without sounding demanding. The next time you're in a meeting, try replacing "I want" with "I'd like to." It's a small change that can make a big difference.
One of the biggest mistakes professionals make is pretending they understand something when they don't. Professional communicators ask questions. A useful phrase is, "Could you clarify that point?" Imagine your manager is explaining a new process. You feel confused. Instead of simply saying, "What?" you could say, "Could you clarify that point?" This phrase sounds professional and demonstrates active listening. You can also use, "Could you explain that further?" or "Could you provide more details?" Asking for clarification is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of professionalism.
From my perspective, this is a powerful phrase because it allows you to express your opinion professionally. Many people make the mistake of stating their opinions too directly. For example, "This is the best solution." While there's nothing grammatically wrong with that sentence, it can sometimes sound too absolute. Instead, try saying, "From my perspective, this is the most effective solution." This phrase shows confidence while also acknowledging that others may have different viewpoints. Let's look at a few examples. From my perspective, customer satisfaction should remain our top priority. From my perspective, investing in employee training would be beneficial. From my perspective, we should explore a few additional options before making a decision. Notice how professional and collaborative these responses sound.
Disagreement is a normal part of professional life. The challenge is learning how to disagree without sounding rude or confrontational. One useful phrase is, "I see your point. However," this phrase acknowledges the other person's opinion before introducing your own. Imagine a colleague says, "We should reduce the marketing budget." Instead of immediately saying, "I disagree," you could respond, "I see your point. However, reducing the marketing budget may impact brand visibility." Notice how much more professional this sounds. You are disagreeing respectfully while keeping the conversation constructive. This phrase is commonly used in meetings, presentations, and workplace discussions.
Feedback is an important part of professional growth.
Unfortunately, many people become defensive when they receive feedback. Professional communicators take a different approach. They listen carefully and respond respectfully. A simple phrase like, "Thank you for your feedback," can make a very positive impression. Even if the feedback is difficult to hear, responding professionally demonstrates maturity and emotional intelligence. Other useful alternatives include, "I appreciate your feedback," and "Thank you for bringing this to my attention." These phrases show that you are open to learning and improvement.
Let's now look at a realistic workplace scenario. Imagine you're attending a team meeting. Your manager asks, "Does anyone have suggestions for improving customer satisfaction?" This is your opportunity to contribute professionally. Instead of saying, "I think we need to answer faster," you could say, "From my perspective, we could improve response times by introducing a live chat system." Notice how the response sounds more structured and professional. The manager then asks, "Could you elaborate?" This is another common workplace phrase. Rather than giving a short answer, you might respond, "Certainly. I believe customers would appreciate faster responses to their inquiries." These small language adjustments can significantly improve the way others perceive your communication skills.
Let's look at another common workplace situation. Imagine your manager asks, "Can this project be completed by Friday?" Many employees feel pressured to say yes immediately. However, professional communication is about being honest and solution-focused. Instead of saying, "No, that's impossible," try saying, "I believe that timeline may be challenging. Could we discuss a more realistic deadline?" Notice that the employee isn't rejecting the request. Instead, they're opening a professional discussion. When the manager asks for an alternative timeline, the employee responds, "Based on the current workload, next Wednesday would be achievable." This response demonstrates professionalism because it identifies the challenge while also proposing a solution. Professional communicators don't just point out problems, they offer alternatives. Now let's examine some common workplace communication mistakes. The first mistake is sounding too demanding. For example, "I need this now." A more professional alternative would be, "Could I have this by the end of the day?" The second mistake is disagreeing too directly. Instead of saying, "You're wrong," try saying, "I see your point. However, I'd like to suggest another approach." The third mistake is appearing unhelpful. Instead of saying, "That's not my problem," try, "I'm not directly involved in that area, but I'll try my best to help." Remember, professionalism is often about small changes in language. These small adjustments can dramatically improve workplace relationships.
I'd like to ask a question. Could you clarify that point? From my perspective. Thank you for your feedback. I see your point. However, let's explore another solution. Excellent. The more you practice these phrases, the more natural they will become. Remember, confidence comes from repetition and practice. Try using at least one of these expressions in your next workplace conversation.
Congratulations on completing episode 1 of Advanced Workplace English. Today, you've learned that sounding professional isn't about using complicated vocabulary. It's about communicating clearly, respectfully, and confidently. You've learned several practical workplace expressions that can help you participate more effectively in meetings, discussions, and professional conversations. Try using these phrases throughout the week. The more you use them, the more natural and professional your communication will become. Thank you for learning with Everyday English Treats. Don't forget to subscribe for more advanced workplace English lessons. I'll see you in episode 2.